play this through slowly to begin with.
Okay.
And I want you to watch the right screen to start off with, and I'll explain this other stuff on the other side of the screen.
Yep.
We skipped it pretty quickly, didn't it?
Yeah.
So you can start to see the loss of height here.
Loss of height.
So your head drops down.
Okay.
And we can start to see a bunch of things at club coming well from the inside through here.
Yeah.
And then it being well above where you started from.
Yeah.
At the point of contact. And it's actually swinging out that way as those numbers that we just talked about, the club path and whatnot, you know, 9 degrees from the inside, that's a long way. Okay. 9 degrees from the inside is then going to produce that flight there.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And the fact that, you know, when the club comes from that far from the inside, you'll hit a lot of toe shots as well.
Yeah,
right. And then
definitely.
when you hit the toe, you've got a little thing called gear effect. So the centre of gravity obviously being the centre of the club face, if you hit it out here, the ball will always move towards the centre of gravity.
Yeah.
So if you hit it out here, it'll go right to left. If you hit it into the heel, it'll go left to right. Vice versa, off the base, it'll spin too much and go up here, and off here, it'll sort of duck dive.
Yeah, sure.
So from my aspect, we're going to just try and get you to actually keep rotating and not disconnect quite as much. But I also would like to see, there's a couple of parameters that we work with in regards to, I'm going to get that handle up a bit higher, which therefore will get your chest up a bit higher.
Yep.
And then you can actually start to rotate. And the other thing that you'll see, which you can't see obviously due to light here, is the fact that the toe sits off the ground so far that if you actually made contact, you would hit the heel of the golf club in the ground and it would turn over.
Right, okay.
That as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a couple of things that are going to work against you here.
Yep.
All right. Now on this side, you'll start to see obviously your right hand's lower than your left on the golf club, so we actually want that tilt in your spine.
Okay.
Oh, in your shoulders. Sorry.
Yep.
Now your spine's going to have to match up to that, and we can clearly see at the moment that it's not. All right. So we're going to actually tilt you a little bit to the right, but we're going to do that by pushing your left hip just a little bit further forward.
Okay.
Now the other part to this whole equation is we just turn your toes out just a little to give you some internal rotation of your hips.
Okay.
So we'll just do that a little bit.
Yep.
So most of this stuff is actually dress position related. So we'll tilt you from the waist that way, get your spine matched up properly, and we'll get the handle up a bit higher here. Okay. You're going to feel like a pork chop for a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm going to ask you to do to start off with.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure.
We'll have a look at that left hand one. Make sure that nothing funky is going on here. We've got a little bit of movement there. That's only you trying to match your spine up.
Okay.
So what I mean by that, if we move that hub, you'll change the contact point with the ground.
Yeah.
Okay. So if it moves, and all you've done is you've moved it to actually match your spine up. That's actually a really good place to be in.
Okay.
But we've got to start from that.
Yeah, right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So your spine was a bit crooked there if we had the video from behind you.
Yeah.
Your spine is not quite in line, which your brain's too smart to keep doing that. It'll just work its way into a better shape.
Okay.
So if we just start in a better position, that will actually take care of that anyway.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So when you say 9 degrees off down the bottom here,
Yep.
you mean that as I'm coming down?
So if that's our target line right there, you're 9 degrees that way.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which then means that we create that off axis spin. As I said, kick a football and do that, and drag your leg out over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I got to spend just a bit of time with. Oh God, mind blank. Johnny Wilkinson's kicking coach. And they talked about the J, what they were trying to do with the J, and actually step through.
Yeah.
To make sure the foot is going down the path. That's why you watch really good kickers. That's what they'll do every time.
Yeah.
Whereas when they're kicking poorly, they'll swing their leg up and they'll actually step through.
Yeah.
And then they'll end up curving too much curvature on the ball itself.
Okay.
So in other words, that will cause that, and vice versa. That one there will cause that one there.
Yeah. Sure.
All right. And that's how we move. We have curvature in the air. We just change our alignment patterns to change how the ball's going to curve.
Yeah.
Don't change anything else. So that's all we're going to do.
Okay.
Okay. Just address position.
Awesome.
The rest of it, if I'm any good at what I do, we'll sort out from there.
Yeah.
Okay.